crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horners. Here's your sip of chaga coffee. All right, I've been knee-deep in my timeline work lately. Timeline as in, when's the system going to crash, Bix? When's silver going to allow it to be freely traded? When are cryptos going to go to the moon? When is gold going to be discovered in the Grand Canyon? All of the above will happen at some point. The question is, obviously the biggest thing people want to know is the timeline. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? So I've been working on that. It's going to be a private road post, but nobody knows. It's fluid. It's very fluid. Last time I was doing timelines, I did a big timeline back when I discovered the Road to Ruta documents in 2007. And Ruta wrote in the sand 11 plus 9 or 9/11 in 2007 in the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston comic book. And then I was thinking it was 9/11 in 2007, but it actually was 9/11 in 2008. And those who don't know it, on 9/11 in 2008, $500 billion was pulled out of the money market funds by the good guys. The attempt was to take down the system, and it almost worked. And it came down to Congress, and I think it'll come down to Congress again. Will Congress agree to bail out the banking system? That was the problem, and they agreed, yes, we will bail out the banking system, but it was on the second vote. Remember, I hope you were around back then, but try to remember that. The first vote was no. We will not bail out the system, and poof, the stock market dropped 50% in like a day or two, and then all chaos hit, and everybody bailed out everybody else, and then Obama put another couple trillion in, and voila, you had your Band-Aid, and you kicked the can down the road again. And that was in 2008. Now here we are in 2021. I don't think we're going to have a vote for this in 2021, probably 2022, maybe 2021. Anything can happen. But it's got to happen in front of Congress. The people have to stand up. It's not going to be the government. It's not going to be the banksters. It's not going to be Gesra. It's not going to be Nestra. It's not going to be the quantum financial system. It's not going to be anything you know of today. And that was very clear in the teacher's guide to the Road to Ruta documents, which had 35 unanswered questions from the Federal Reserve Bank about how this process works. Go to roadruta.com. You can look at all my discussions of that. I'm going to go over those 35 questions again because they're so much more relevant now that we're on the brink of changing our old system. Lots of talk about Klaus Schwab going down to Antarctica, along with Christine Lagarde. Remember that the eve of the Hillary Clinton debacle, where Trump took her over, that evening, John Kerry, the Secretary of State at the time, took a trip to Antarctica as well. If this is kind of too woo-woo for you, these are the facts. The facts are on the eve of all these big moves where the good guys take over the bad guys. That's the kind of thing you're going to see. A lot of people say, oh, it's the Nazis down there. And who are the Nazis? And, are they off-world ETs? All valid questions. That's what I have to say. All valid questions. There's massive amount of activity down in Antarctica, and all you're told is that they're studying penguins down there. But they have massive shipments of food and supplies going there every single day. So I hope you know that we're living in a world. It's kind of like a Broadway show, and we're in the last act, and we're all trying to figure out where's it going to go. Where's it going to go? But it's more interactive because you are actually the actors. You and I are actors in this play. But I think it's going along swimmingly. And I do have, today or tomorrow, I will post the timeline, my own timeline. On Friday, I posted the Jenny Moonstone timeline, your mystical timeline for the global transition. I got a lot of information from Jenny, as I usually do. Go check that out. It's on the private road in the Jenny Moonstone area. If you want your own reading, and you can ask her the timeline as well, go to jennyconstantine.com, jennyconstantine.com, and book a reading with Jenny for Christmas. All right. So let's talk about silver. The obvious thing about silver, I hope everybody understands this. Silver is trading at currently 44% of its all-time high, 1981 high. So how much money have they printed since 1981? And you might say, oh my God, Bix. Trillions. Absolutely. How many more derivatives have been invented since 1981 or 1980? It's the 1980 high. How much has gone on since 1981 where the Fed has proven that the only tool that the Fed has and the U.S. Treasury has is printing money to solve the problems. That's the only tool they have. Debt is through the roof, but silver is trading less than half of its all-time high. Now you might say, well, that was the Hunt brothers. Well, what were the Hunt brothers doing? The Hunt brothers actually bought about 110 million ounces of silver. And then their big mistake was buying silver derivatives on the COMEX, going long 120 million. And that's how the U.S. government and the other banksters took them down. Now, J.P. Morgan, on the other hand, bought over 1 billion ounces of silver and have leased most of it out to the other banks, Bank of America, Citibank, and the other banksters, to continue the price suppression. But that's like an extra short. Leased silver has to be returned unless they have a fair market value purchase option, which is possible. But that would instantly bankrupt all the idiots who leased silver. And it would make J.P. Morgan silver disappear. And J.P. Morgan knows more than anybody else about silver because we taught them. Gada and myself and my friends who have been fighting this fight taught Blythe Masters about gold and silver. And Jamie Dimon, we taught them about gold and silver, how important they were. That's why Jamie Dimon jumped in, saved Bear Stearns, and said, oh my God, we have to get our hands on all the gold and silver we can. And all the banks learned that. Now the banks own all the gold in the world. JP Morgan's own all the silver. So going back to a gold standard, probably, other than the gold in the Grand Canyon and Chocolate Mountain and Alaska, I don't know if we should go back to a gold standard. Because remember who owns all the gold? Who got it illegally? Jamie Dimon and friends. Even the DOJ, under Trump at least, said, you guys are criminals. We're going to arrest you under RICO charges, conspiring to commit a crime. And then they dropped the charges. Why? Because Trump wanted the system to go on forward. They wanted it to go forward. They knew that if the bankers go down, it's all over for his take on taking out the bad guys, the criminals, the pedophiles. So they let it go forward. Now you can say, hey, you can be mad at him or you can be happy. It doesn't matter. We are at the brink again right now today. So if you are a chart guy and watch price, which I don't watch price anymore in silver, I'm happy every time they slam it down because that means I can buy a couple more coins to put in my stack. This is not about price. Price will go away when the collapse happens. Remember that. Price will go away when the collapse happens. You won't know the price of your silver. You won't know the price of your gold. You won't know, of course you won't know the price of your cryptos. And if your cryptos are held in an exchange, you won't even have cryptos. Poof, gone. So that's where we are. If you look at the moving averages, we got currently with the price at $22.22. We got a long way to go to break through of the 50-day, 100-day, and 200-day moving averages. But that could happen in one trade. Remember that. That could happen in one trade. In a freely traded market, we wouldn't even be close to this. You could take these prices in 100 times what they are, and that would probably still be low. We are looking at a 1-to-1 gold-silver ratio. Silver's so much more important than gold in our future. So much more important, night and day. So if you own any gold, swap it out for silver. Go to your local guy. Go to your local guy. I always say start with your local gold silver dealer. Make a relationship because that's the guy you're going to be selling to in times of chaos. And then if you don't have one, contact my contact, Andy Scheckman. You can send him an email, Andy, A-N-D-Y, at milesfranklin.com, milesfranklin.com. He has taken care of so many Road to Ruta members, and he'll get your physical silver to your front porch. All right? So the interesting to note, the 200-day moving average has moved below $25. So the question that I'm answering in the timeline is, what will happen to silver? There's a few different scenarios. Remember, this is a derivative market where they can set the price at any price they want. It's a click of a mouse to put the price of silver at minus $40 like they did with oil. Same with Bitcoin. Same with Ethereum. They can put any price they want in these derivative markets at minus $40. If you don't believe me, go look what happened to oil. Minus $40. Where is the CFTC? Where's that investigation? Who went to jail because of that market rigging job? Nobody, Bix. This is America. We don't put people in jail that assist in the suppression of prices to pretend that the United States dollar is something worth trading. So that's where we are. We are in HODL mode, as in hang on for dear life, because these prices are going to shock you. It's going to shock you when silver goes down to $2 an ounce. Or it's going to shock you when it goes to $200,000 an ounce. Both directions is a click of a mouse. Both directions is just a click of a mouse. Poof, it's there. There is no fair trading in any market these days. These are all derivative trades. Means silver's not trading hands to set price. Bitcoin is not trading hands to set price. Look at the volumes compared to the amount. Bitcoin has days where it trades 100% of all Bitcoin ever mined are traded. It's insane. And there is a plan for cryptos. Definitely, cryptos are our future. The question is, getting there, how low will they set the price? And how many regulations is Gary Gensler and friends going to put on cryptocurrencies? You put too much on, the United States loses. I love all the Shiba Inu buyers and Dogecoin buyers. Why? Because it gets more and more people involved with cryptocurrencies to see what the criminal regulators are going to do. They should have ended the tether game long ago. Now, David Morgan's got quite a long series on why Bitcoin and cryptos are so bad. Completely misses the future. Yes, there's bad people within cryptos. Yes, when they take out Tether, they're going to slam the price down. Who knows what to? Yes, Gary Gensler is going to come in there with his regulations and pick and choose who the winners are. Yes, Reggie Middleton already has the patent on DeFi. If you have any DeFi cryptos, good luck with that. He's not looking to end the game. He's looking to get what he is due. And Gary Gensler will take him out anyway. Gary Gensler's definitely on the side of the bankers. He has proven that in his silver. He was the head of the CFTC when JP Morgan was rigging silver. We screamed about it. We yelled about it. Bart Chilton came out and said, oh, by the way, JP Morgan was rigging the market, but it was a political decision not to shut them down. That was on Gary Gensler's watch. Gary Gensler is not a proponent of free markets. Gary Gensler's a smart motherfucker. But he is definitely not on the side of free markets. He is on the side of continuing the rig, continue to kick the can down the road. And he's going to decide which cryptocurrency will be allowed to go forward, in the United States at least. Now that's if the system stays together. If the system doesn't stay together, which is where I'm headed, our government doesn't stay together, then Gary Gensler is going to become irrelevant. And we have free markets again. On the side of Anarchapulco, Jeff Berwick knows what he's talking about. At the end of the day, no one's going to be able to agree on what we use as money. That's why Nestra and Gestra and the quantum financial system will never work. Will never work. So there we have it. I am putting together a timeline about how and when all this stuff is going to occur. Just my take, mind you. This is just my take. No, it is not written in stone. Nothing is written in stone. Our lives are not written in stone. Our everybody's saying, oh my God, Bix, it's going to be the 29th. It's going to be the 19th. It's going to be the 10th. It's going to be the February 15th. It's going to be blah, 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 blah. All I can tell you is I can pretty much guarantee it's not going to be that date. Because it's not written in stone. We have free will. It is our choices that make what happens. And my take on the timeline won't be correct either. But I think it would be closer than anybody else's. But that's just me. That's my take. Believe it or not, that's my take. Anyway, that'll be on the private road, posted either today or tomorrow. As far as cryptos, the slow decline. We are not set up for a big slam. That happens when we have the flurry up to $100,000. Then you should be looking out for a big slam. Between $100,000 and $300,000 Bitcoin. Then you should be looking for the big slam. Right now, you just want to hang on for dear life. Because, again, a click of a mouse and an announcement from Gary Gensler can put Bitcoin to negative $40. And you just got to be ready for it. Because on the other side of the chaos that's coming is a really, really great opportunity for humanity to reset their system in a permissionless type of world where there is no Gary Gensler, there is no SEC, and people take responsibility for their own investments. You don't have the nanny state of the SEC and the CFTC looking out for your best interests. It's bullshit, and Gary Gensler knows it. But in the meantime, they're going to control the system the best they can. And you have to be ready to hang on to what you got. It might take days from the collapse of the banking system. Remember, collapse of the banking system, there will be no exchanges open. There will be no Bitcoin prices. There will be no silver prices. The fiat system has to stay in place for you to know what, it traded. Bitcoin went to negative $1,000. How is that possible? Because it's a fake exchange. And if they're shut down, who's going to tell you the price of Bitcoin? And yes, they will all shut down when fiat shuts down. They're going to run away with your crypto if you hold your crypto in the exchange. And there won't be any cops to chase them down because the system will have imploded. The biggest criminals are going to be companies like Coinbase who run away with the cryptos. I mean, Coinbase is probably going to be the most regulated, but that doesn't mean shit. If the regulators aren't getting paid, there's no regulators. That's the kind of chaos we're headed into. And it could be sooner rather than later. Joe Manchin just killed the party's $2 trillion Build Back Better plan. The $2 trillion was meant to pay off all those people keeping quiet about the con that's going on. If that's gone, shit, who knows who's going to say what, who's going to do what. So the Build Back Better payoff is not going to happen from this fake administration. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Behind the scenes, the good guys got this thing under control. The rest is a show. Oh, by the way, I had a really good discussion with Jenny about the crypto viewing session on the death of the dollar, where Dick Allgaier saw congressmen in the halls going, oh my God, it's over. It's over. They'll never go back into the halls of Congress. That was very clear to Dick Allgaier. And, John Claude's around with, everybody's around with that vision of the death of the dollar. And I wanted to get to the bottom of, when's that going to happen was my thought. And Jenny said, it seems fake. It seems like it was 100% staged. That vision that Dick saw was staged, which makes sense in a world where they know the transition's coming. We have to do something that changes everything. Voila, poof. The death of the dollar, the death of Congress was all staged. I think Congress died a long time ago. But we will find out. So just keep that in mind, that Dick Allgaier's vision of what he saw, because he did clearly see it, and I think he was correct in what he saw. The question is whether it is a real event or a staged event as part of a bigger plan, which I think it was a staged event. So watch for it. Might happen by the end of the year. Who knows? One of the best videos I've ever seen talking about the death of the dollar, the crash of the system, is my friend David Morgan did this video a long time ago about how a free market system can crash. And I think today is very different, but I've always gone back to this video to understand at that time in 2007, I think he posted this, at least that's when he's got it on his thing. But in 2007, he was like, here's how. This is before the 2008 crash. This is about this is January 2nd, 2007. The Road to Ruta documents were posted on January 1st, 2007. Remember, this is before cryptos. So David might want to change it now, but this is before cryptos. And listen to how he describes what goes on.
So the scene starts off with a trading room in a major New York bank. And the main trader screams out and says, everybody hang up the phone and listen very carefully. And the scenario goes like this. Listen, everybody. The Arabs yanked all of their money out of our bank, and it's not just us, it's across the board. Everybody's been hit. So they're going to be scrambling for liquidity. We want it all sold. Fannie Mae's, Freddie Mac's, T-bills, T-bonds, Euro dollars, anything you've got out there, it all has to be sold. We're going to be scrambling for dollars. Bullion, grab whatever you can get and pray. And then pandemonium takes place, and all these trades start going off, and it's just crazy in the trading room. And of course, you got to realize that the same scenario is taking place all throughout New York City, the financial capital of the world, and of course London and Zurich and everywhere else. And everybody's selling everything they can to put it into dollars so that they can pay back the Arabs what they owe them, right? Well, as this is unfolding, one of the traders comes up to the desk and she starts explaining to the head trader, that the stock market's already off 10% in a matter of minutes, the dollar's already fallen over 15%, that they yanked the euro deposits that weren't due. I mean, this is just absolute pandemonium. And so then you find this very wise trader, this Wall Street stalwart, if you will, and he just looks at her and she says, and gold just went over $2,000 an ounce. And he says, looks her right in the eye and says, that'll be cheap by tonight. And then he turns around and he picks up the phone and he calls his wife and he says, honey, it's me. And I'd like you to listen to me very carefully. I want you to go in the closet and get a suitcase and get down to the bank. And then it cuts. And it shows a scene.
David is awesome. You should all subscribe to the Morgan Report. Now, mind you, this was before cryptocurrencies and before a massive derivative complex was fully built out. Now, there is no such thing as the petrodollar. It has been taken over. Petrodollar was a plan worked out by Kissinger and Greenspan in the early 1970s for the Saudis and the oil cartel to buy oil only in U.S. dollars, creating artificial demand around the world for dollars. It's written about in the Road to Ruta documents. It is a real thing that happened. Now it's different. With derivatives and computer control of the markets, we don't need the artificial demand for oil for U.S. dollars. What we have now is a derivative market with unlimited derivatives that can be thrown at any price of oil, of water, of corn, of gold, of silver. The derivatives had taken the place of the petrodollar. So no longer are we contingent upon the Saudis dumping U.S. dollars to crash the system. All it takes is a click of a mouse in the derivative world. And yes, there's derivatives on the U.S. dollar. Massive derivatives on the U.S. dollar. There's derivatives laid on top of everything. We live in a derivative world. And I talk about this in the timeline article that would be posted today or tomorrow. So David Morgan, before 2007, I'd say yes, absolutely. Now we have something different. It will be a computer-generated collapse or destruction. So keep that in mind. Still, silver is the bank killer. Remember that silver has always been the bank killer and will be the bank killer. It probably won't take place on the COMEX. The COMEX is the only exchange that prices silver. There is no other price determination on the planet for silver. Everything hinges on the COMEX price. I think the COMEX will shut down as it is shown that it is a fraud. It's already been shown a million times that it's a fraud. They trade over 100 billion ounces of silver every year, which is stupid. So we'll have the shutdown of the COMEX and then a void in silver. We won't know the price of silver during this collapse. Not at all, because there won't be a place to price it. You can go down to your local coin shop and they'll probably won't have any. Remember, it's going to take a while for people to understand what happened. Anybody advocating going back to a gold standard is today where the vast majority of the population has no idea gold was ever money and doesn't know the meaning of it or why it used to be the best money. It was it was a scarce asset. It's not anymore now that we found so much gold. But the world doesn't know. The gold bugs don't know that. So they will advocate going back to a gold standard, which is right in the wheelhouse of the bankers. The bankers have all the gold. Remember that. It's even on the comments. They even have all the gold. And they have all gold in the GLD. Who owns it? Theoretically, it's the shareholders, but at the end of the day, the bankers will take it. So that's where we are. Again, go to the Morgan Report to sign up for David's work. It's awesome. He's the best silver guy in the world, by the way. His take on cryptos, I think, is wrong. But, well, it's not even his take. It's the guy he's been interviewing for the past. He's done 10 episodes on cryptos. And a lot of it's good. And a lot of it, Road to Ruta has gone through in the past 4 or 5 years about the criminals within cryptocurrencies and the pedophile gang that it needs to be taken out, which they will be. But what they don't talk about is the future and how important cryptos are for our future. Not all cryptos. Gary Gensler will weed out a whole bunch of them unless free markets take hold and we can decide for ourselves. Stop living in the nanny state that we live in. Anyway, that's all I got for you. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, I grew up in the USA. I was taught that speech was free. Birmingham to Burning Man, you can speak any truth you see. Lately things have changed, they say I can't speak truth no more. And I'm just sitting here wondering who they are working for. See, they're gonna kick me off of YouTube. Unless I say 9/11's just another day. And they delete my friends on Facebook. Unless I pretend that socialism's A-okay. And they are gonna shadow ban my Twitter. Unless I tweet the chemtrails of Perrier. Finally they'll ban everything I've got to say as they kill free speech in the USA. They decide what's right, they decide what's wrong, they ban what won't conform. They sit in shadows, they run the gallows, say I must abide the norm. Without free speech we lose freedom, they cut off our free will. If I find truth that they don't like, they'll label me a shill. And then they're gonna kick me off of YouTube. Unless I say 9/11's just another day. And they delete my friends on Facebook. Unless I pretend that socialism's A-okay. And they are gonna shadow ban my Twitter. Unless I tweet the chemtrails of Perrier. Finally they'll ban everything I've got to say as they kill free speech in the USA. They're trying to kill free speech in the USA. Now wait a minute, it's not like me to give up on a fight. I'll expose their evil plans, bring their shadows into light. And I'll name names, I'll play their games, I've got them in my sight. They're trying to change the USA, I'll fight for what is right. So they can kick me off of YouTube. 9/11's all about building 7 and it ain't okay. And they can delete all my Facebook. But socialists fail every time in every single way. And they can shadow ban my Twitter, but I'm looking up at chemtrail skies each and every day. See, they have no right to ban anything I have to say, and I'll fight for free speech in the USA. I'm gonna fight for free speech in the USA. It's my right, free speech in the USA.